So, I'd like to, with further ado, pass over to Claire to start with to talk through the first part of our webinar today, which is our author survey and the key findings.
Thank you, Andrew. Hi, everyone. I am Claire. I'd like to explore with you about evolving incentives of authors and the key findings from our author survey. So when we talk about motivations to drive Chinese authors to publish, it can be influenced by the various factors, such as institutional pressures, governmental policies, or the individual career aspirations. So those factors collectively impact on potential biases in the publishing practices. So for the individual researchers, the need to publish is closely tied to the career progression. In China's competitive academic environment, publication records are critical for securing the positions. Even though we've seen the policy-level reform that have begun to de-emphasize the paper counts in favor of original contributions, but research and the research quality. But academic papers, especially those indexed in SCI, remain essential for promotions. We also learned that the new guidelines issued in 2022 that's clarifying that practical professions research papers should not be the mandatory for promotion. However, that we also see that there's a still growing emphasis on meaningful output rather than just volume. Another increasingly important motivator is visibility and collaboration. We can see the figures we are sharing here from the ISTIC 2024. China had impressive one-third of its high-impact papers co-authored internationally. So this tells us that Chinese researchers are actively seeking global visibility and peer collaborations. That means publishing decisions are no longer just about domestic status. The Chinese researchers are positioning in the global research conversation. So, however, collaboration opportunities remain limited by the usual challenges, such as distance, discovery, or the access to the networks. So this makes it even more important for journals to offer discoverability and community features, which makes authors not just reach to their readers, but also to the potential partners. So if we see the next slide, Chinese authors today are balancing three key things, which are institutional goals, policy shifts, and the growing needs for international recognition. So we are exploring more details about evolving the motivations. We conducted a survey in late 2024. We were circulating the questionnaire and interviewing with the researchers, around 80 researchers across various disciplines and institutions about their experiences with international publishing. We have a longer list in the white paper. In this webinar, let's look into top 5 concerns together. The first one is long review times and high rejection rates. This was especially frustrating for the postgraduate students and the PhD students, also the early career researchers, because their publication timelines are often tied closely to the graduation and the promotion deadlines. So delays are not just annoying, also costing the price financially and professionally. The second one, we see that a high publication fee is a major concern. It went across all career levels, but especially affecting the researchers without institutional funding. It's our common observation that the challenge appeared regardless geography and the institution type. And the third one is perceived bias in peer review. That was another big issue we discovered, particularly among authors from less well-known institutions of those researchers located outside major cities. And this affected both their willingness to submit and their interpretation of rejection outcomes. While they may receive similar rejection rates as peers from top-tier institutions, but they probably think that institutional affiliation or geography origin impact on this. So whether or not bias is real in every case, the perception is powerful and it directly affects where and how authors choose to submit. So let's see the fourth one in our finding that we found usability issues in the submission platform. It could be the poor communication from editors or the confusing interfaces from the submission platform, such as lack of language support. This was particularly hard on authors who are unfamiliar with international journal systems. And the fifth one we would like to share is that is clear position-based differences. The students were most impacted by fees and timelines, and senior professionals face fewer problems, possibly due to the better networks, funding, and experience navigating the process. However, the middle-level researchers worry less about the fees in general, but concerned about the timelines mostly. So these insights is the key evidence for what we will explore next, how these survey findings instruct directly to the author journey, from awareness all the way to retention, and how a thoughtful multi-channel strategy can support authors at each stage. So let's look quickly about this infographic. We begin with awareness stage, and we're moving to the consideration stage. The third stage is decision-making stage, and until the final one is the retention. So we will look at this infographic again after having better understanding about how the channels and platforms works to support each stage.